right, coming to you from the now chilly and fall-like confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check out the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast not only here on YouTube, but on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Substack, Patreon, Trovo, and as well as on Podbean. Happy to be here with you guys on this beautiful October 2nd, 2025. This episode will be chronologizing Week 4 NFL recap. We'll be going over all the games that I watched, some of the good, bad, and ugly that I saw, some of the frightening as well going into Week 5. A lot of things to definitely unpack. So before we do, I definitely want to make sure that we give a shout out to several friends of the show. If you guys are familiar with the show, and if you're new to the show, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. However, if you guys have definitely been avid fans of the show, have been following, you guys know that my number 1 and number 2 favorite fans of the show are StubHub and Viagogo. Currently, guys, as you will see here listed on the screen shortly, there are a plethora of events currently going on right now for StubHub and Viagogo. I implore you guys, definitely make sure, whether it's just reselling tickets, whether it's just getting out for the weekend, getting out, just spending time with friends or loved ones, make sure you make the most of it. Also, as well, for my subscribers in the UK, there's a plethora of artists coming out and events. Bad Bunny definitely coming to the UK. It's just announced that he's going to be performing at a halftime show at the Super Bowl next year. So definitely don't want to miss this, guys. Definitely want to make sure you're making the most of your time off. Have fun. And as always, guys, like I said, number 1 and number 2 leading ticket resellers in the world, StubHub and Viagogo. Don't forget and don't hesitate. Check that out. And for my avid PlayStation gamers out there, I implore you to check the description box with the link to PlayStation Direct, within this video. You'll be able to access PlayStation Direct for consoles, game controllers, any accessories or bundle packages you might be interested in. Anything you might need to enhance your PlayStation experience, I implore you to check it out. Sony PlayStation, more than a game. All right, guys, so hopping into this episode, like I said, this is the Week 4 NFL recap. I'm going to be chronologizing the games, some of the games that I watched from Sunday going into the Monday night doubleheader. First, we're going to start off with what I thought would have been the most anticipated and most exciting game, with outcome, of course. I'm alluding to the Packers and Cowboys, which wound up living up to its billing as far as an exciting game. That being said, this shit was very disappointing to end up in a tie. This game deserved a winner. It should have had a winner. It didn't. It's very disappointing nonetheless. But getting into it, you kind of felt that Micah Parsons, returning to the scene of the crime, the place where it all started for him in Dallas, where he was traded unceremoniously, now, a month and 2 weeks ago to the day, to when he was traded essentially to the Green Bay Packers. It was a situation where you kind of felt like, okay, he's going to come out all guns blazing. This team's going to come out inspired, ready to play. The energy is just going to be there. And initially on the first drive, for Green Bay, it was there. They had it. They were attacking the Cowboys, defensive backfield, which is one of the worst in football, taking and stretching the ball downfield, doing what they needed to definitely get in position to win the game. However, when you look at the bare, just the raw numbers of it, you really can see that there are problems right now that for Green Bay that they have to address going further. In this game, you at one point had a 13-2 lead. Dallas comes back, their offense is able to get some points on the board. George Pickens gets in the end zone. They sustain some drives. Everything feels great. It's on the up and up. Feels like a pretty even game. But then by the middle of the third quarter, the game turns into an absolute fucking shootout. Neither team's defense seems to, know what the fuck to do, is capable of playing defense. Very shocking, very, for the Packers at least. I mean, the Cowboys, second worst defense in football, so you're not shocked by any of that. You expect them to struggle and have issues. For the Packers, though, with the way that they've been tearing teams up this year, with the way that they've been playing, it was very underwhelming and very shocking to see that performance from them defensively. Micah Parsons ultimately only getting 1 sack, 2 quarterback pressures on Dak Prescott. Again, you take the sack, you take the QB pressures, but definitely not the all-around performance that he would have wanted to have, the defense itself would have wanted to have had. And if you're Dallas, you're happy that it ultimately ended in a tie, because if ironically for Dallas, when they've gone to overtime this year, they've scored 40 points. So I think the recipe for the Dallas Cowboys is real simple. They're going to be the Cincinnati Bengals of the NFC. Let's keep Dak healthy. Let's score a bunch of points. Let's hope our defense gets an opportunistic play, a stop here and there, and then maybe we can pull out the game 38-35 or 28-24. Be that as it may, outstanding performance by the Cowboys offense and the Packers offense. Both their defenses definitely need some work. Cowboys more than Green Bay, but Green Bay, that performance was very shocking. I mean, did not expect to see them giving up 40 points to that Cowboys offense. And again, Cowboys are the fifth best ranked offense right now currently in the NFL going through the first 4 weeks. So got to give that credit. Second worst defense. So, balance. But, Packers have to play better if they want any shot at really contending in the NFC, let alone the NFL. You got to win that game. You got to beat that team convincingly, especially with the energy that you came out with, the game plan and plan of attack that you had. Got to play better. But this is the NFL. Guys, the Dallas Cowboys obviously get paid to do a job too. It was a great game though. I mean, obviously the scoring was there. Offensively, there was no qualms, but if you're Green Bay, you definitely want to tighten up some things before you worry about talking about a Super Bowl or potentially getting to a Super Bowl. Going next, we're going to go into the Chiefs and Ravens. I love this game for a multitude of different reasons. I was anticipating a hard-fought battle like we got last year. Obviously, with the injuries that the Ravens have sustained, it's been a situation where the Ravens have not been themselves. I mean, let's just be honest. They've looked downright trash on defense this year. Worst defense in the NFL, statistically speaking. It looks that way visually to the eye, too. They're up shit's creek with no paddle. You lose this game to the Chiefs 37-20. Lamar gets injured. Roquan Smith gets injured. Marlon Humphrey gets injured. You got guys just dropping like leaves out there. Now, it's been reported that Lamar Jackson is going to miss the next couple of weeks, but he will be back, obviously, at some point. What that looks like for the Baltimore Ravens, I don't know, because you have Cooper Rush at quarterback. Not really sure that Cooper Rush is going to be able to handle, the brunt of the load for that Ravens team going forward. That being said, outside of an 11-play, 70-yard drive that started off the game for Baltimore, they essentially got nothing the rest of the way. I mean, absolutely nothing. Some points late when, garbage time, but essentially the game was really out of reach. This game really came down to, for Kansas City, having their deep threat back. Having Xavier Worthy out there on offense just put enough fear in that shitty Baltimore Ravens defense where they did enough to be able to move the ball around. You still kind of want more. You still got left a lot to be desired when your running game is still kind of non-existent and Pat Mahomes is the running game. Although that being said, you can see that since the Giants game, they're starting to find their groove. They're starting to find their niche. Once they get Rashee Rice back, I think this offense will be even more potent. This Chiefs team is not a team that, I hope teams or people aren't thinking like, man, if this team falls anywhere between 4 and 6, we fucking got them. Or 5 and 6, we got them. This is not a Chiefs team you want to play. I think they're playing with even more house money because they're dangerous now. They've lost. They've been embarrassed. Got some blood in their mouth. People kind of think they're finished. So might be a last hurrah. Might be a last squeeze of the orange. I don't know. But definitely was excited to see that performance from Kansas City showed signs of life. But if you're Baltimore, see how you can weather this storm until Lamar can get back. And just hope then that it's ultimately not too late, because you go on a 3 or 4 game losing streak at the beginning of the year, it can really, really put you behind the 8 ball, even in a 17-game season, to where it can be insurmountable to come back from. So Ravens got a lot of work to do. But it's definitely fixable for them. Now we're heading into the Monday Night Football doubleheaders. Now looking at those games, we're going to start off with Jets and Dolphins, which was the first game of that doubleheader. This game was exciting. It ended with the Dolphins winning 27-21, but it was exciting for a multitude of different reasons. First and foremost, I want it to be known that the New York Jets cannot get the fuck out of their own way. Not rocket science, not a newsflash to anyone. It just becomes sickening when you're not even a fan of the team and you just watch them play and you watch how they operate and you watch their operative Miranda and you see how they go about things and you just are waiting for the mistake to happen. You just kind of like, fumble, interception, bad snap. Somewhere in there, something's going to go left. You got Miami coming out in their first drive, mix of running pass, getting down the field. Jets defense, firm, stout, do exactly what they need to for their offense to get the ball and get downfield. They get the ball for the offense to get downfield. Everything done that needs to be done. And you can't provide points in the red zone because you're fumbling. Not to shit on Justin Fields, but that's a major fucking turnover right there in a crucial spot. I mean, you don't turn that ball over right there. You're talking about, possibly them winning this game instead of losing it. You go a bit further, too. You liked how the play calling was from the Jets. It was the great diversification of the play calling. I like how they were doing that, showcasing a little bit of everything. But again, bad starts, not really getting going throughout the day. It just becomes a snowball effect of things that really will just fuck you over and just have you in a situation where you feel like you can't win for losing. But you go further, Miami's, dusting off Darren Waller to score touchdowns. So this just shows you how real it is for Miami, the type of talent that they were lacked or, had voids to fill, just, were talentless. So they needed guys in there as soon as possible. He scored twice, so you got to give a shout out to Darren Waller for getting in the end zone twice. Helped Miami build a nice little lead on the Jets, 10-0. Dolphins scored another fumble because obviously, the Buccaneers can't hold on to it. Just, again, you're giving a team opportunities to just stay in the game. Dolphins, recover. Jets don't do shit with it. Jets just seemed like they were kind of wayward and lost for a good while there. They started to figure it out. They got some points for halftime. We're still contending. Nothing going about the third or fourth quarter that would make you feel like, okay, these teams are definitely in the mix. They're definitely getting real. Third quarter, you had the Dolphins scoring 14 points, which essentially kind of sealed the game. Where the Jets, I misspoke. The New York Jets only scored 7 points. So wasn't really a great performance at all by any stretch of imagination. The Dolphins did exactly what they were supposed to. The Jets were more or less looking for friends, and in between going into games knowing that you're playing with your season on the line and you know that you have to win games, the energy and mentality needs to be sharper. The focus needs to be sharper. And it just seems like to me, like, not sure exactly what happened with Darren Waller in Miami. Darren Waller and his previous spot with the Giants and the Raiders previous to that. Not sure exactly what happened, but glad he's in a good headspace. Glad he was able to get in the end zone. He could definitely be a weapon that Tua can rely on, especially with Tyreek Hill suffering that nasty, brutal leg injury, knee injury, and just, having to be carted off to the hospital. So a lot will be pressed more upon, the shoulders of Tua Tagovailoa. But at this point right now, Tua is really going to have to show and prove with Jalen Waddle and some of those other weapons that he could do it. It hasn't been done yet, so we shall see. Running game for Miami was good. Devin A-Chain was definitely getting in on the action. This is one of those situations where the Jets are just not really good right now. They're trying hard. They're fighting as hard as they can. They're really putting forth their best effort. But it's becoming a situation where, fuck just being garbage. You're in a situation where your talent is not equal to your ability. And when your talent is not equal to your ability, it shows in a multitude of different ways. Overthrowing receivers, underhanding receivers, taking routes for granted, not taking the snap count for granted, not using a cadence to get the defense off kilter. You just stepping out the fucking cold and just thinking, all right, well, I'm just going to step to the line and call plays and we're going to be fine. No, there's a cadence with that. They need to hear your voice. They need to get used to hearing you call plays. They want to see how you handle things. So, yeah, it's just shit show there, but Jets essentially lose again, so be it as it may, that's what that was. And also, last but not least, before we wrap up this episode, we're going to talk about the Bengals and Broncos. I will not bore any of you with a long expose as to why that game was atrocious, but I'm going to say this to you so that way you understand with great sincerity. The Bengals are fucking screwed without Joe Burrow. Without Joe Burrow, this team is absolute fucking garbage. It took me a little bit of time researching this, not long, but just giving you some brass tacks and just explain to you how dire the situation is. Now, they just lost to the Broncos 28-3 on Monday Night Football, getting completely destroyed, shit beat out of them, having to show up on a short week, and then play the defending Super Bowl champions who are kind of semi, not really at all cylinders, but starting to figure it out, starting to put it together. So, true test for the Denver Broncos. But if you're looking at the Cincinnati Bengals, you scored a grand total of 13 points in the past 2 games without Joe Burrow. You're screwed. You're screwed. You didn't cross midfield until late in the third quarter, which is even eerier how that shapes out. Holding penalties, stunning drives, not getting you where you want to be, not pushing the ball down the field, and just essentially hoping that you can weather the storm until Joe gets back. Now, it says the Broncos, on the other hand, fire on all cylinders, definitely showing poise and showing why teams that people have said that they are elite or possibly they have Super Bowl expectations. This team does not rest for the wicked. This guy does not rest for the wicked. This team doesn't rest for the wicked. And Sean Payton, I think, truly has this team prepared this year. They're executing at a better level, even though they've been sloppy at times with the way that they've played. Again, considers them elite. Their Super Bowl expectations might be something that might come back to bite them in the ass, but Denver, they're good for it. Again, going up against, some of these teams, the Bengals truly, really are alone in the aspect of they don't even have a competent backup that can run the offense. People are resorting back to what Browning did a couple years ago, which I'm truly sure there was a different offensive coordinator, different OC, different game plan. So, again, it's just one of the things where got to give a shout out to Bo Nix and Denver for doing what they're supposed to. As far as the Bengals are concerned, I'll be in contact with you, and we could all meet up and link and figure out best course of action, because dying on your feet. Hey, what's up? I know it sucks. The video just ended. But listen, you can catch this whole interview on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Links are in the description. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you. Have a great day.